Bellefonte, Pennsylvania, just a short drive from State College, is at the heart of Penn State country. And it's here that Penn State undergrad Rick Santorum got his start in politics, from the folks who live in this house with the flag and the Nittany Lion out front.
He was green. We all are when we first start.
Doyle Corman was running for state senate when a young Rick Santorum volunteered on his campaign.
I remember enthusiasm. I mean, he was just so into getting involved in politics.
He also ended up getting involved with this family. That race back in 1977 launched a relationship between the Cormans and Rick Santorum that's lasted 3 decades.
He's part of the family. And so he came to see Jake get sworn in.
We kind of adopted each other, and I never had an older brother, and so he kind of filled that role. And he used to come to my Little League games.
And we'd play Trivia Pursuit. Well, if Rick was on your team, you won. He remembers everything.
A trait of a good politician, and Doyle Corman saw it right away. Santorum joined his staff in Harrisburg full-time in the early 80s.
When he first came to work for me, I said, Rick, you've got far too much to offer to be forever in the Senate as a support staff person. And if you stay with me beyond 3 years, you're a failure. He always stayed 5, so we laugh at him being a failure because he stayed 5 years.
He wasn't as passionate, and I think as he grew, working in the legislature and seeing how different people's lives were affected and that kind of thing, then I think the passion and such grew.
What's your favorite part about Rick Santorum?
Well, I think he's not a phony. He is what he is.
Some of these people, again, are afraid of the new decade, but we are not.
State Senator Jake Corman describes Santorum as aggressive, compassionate, but also honest. When Santorum was first running for Senate in 1994, Corman was with him at a stop at Fort Indiantown Gap when Santorum was approached by a woman who expressed strong views on health care.
He looked her right square in the eyes in a very polite way and said, "Madam, I couldn't disagree with you more," and then gave her a very honest opinion of what he believed and was better. And I just was very taken back by that even though he was searching for every vote he possibly could get in the days, he was honest enough to tell the person that they didn't agree on this issue.
And that you will well and faithfully discharge the duties of the office on which you are about to enter. So help you God?
I do.
That honesty, though, has gotten Santorum in trouble from time to time. In 2003, he came under fire for comments that appeared to compare homosexuality to incest and bigamy.
If you listen to his opponents try to label him as one thing or another, you may think he's a little hard-edged. But if you ever sit down and just talk with him, I don't think you would find him too conservative or hard-edged at all.
Corman says he saw an example of that firsthand during the welfare debate in the mid-90s.
He says, we need to practice what we preach. And so when I had openings in my office that I represent for him, he said, why don't you see if you can find someone who was on welfare?
What would you say is the single most important factor, influence, in Rick Santorum's life?
Family. I think there's no question about that. Family.
And the Cormans say Santorum is intensely devoted to his family. It's for that reason, they say, he's not worried about what happens this fall.
I said, Rick, what do you think about the polls? I said, are we in trouble here? And he said, doesn't matter. He said, I'm going out and I'm going to campaign and I'm going to do the best I can, and if I'm not elected, I'll do something else.
If there is one reason, what is one reason that Rick Santorum needs to be reelected?
He's the best there is.
That's it?
That's it. He's the best there is.